In the summer of 2004, in the Chinese city of Suzhou, UNESCO's World Heritage Committee held its annual session. That week, an ancient kingdom was added to the World Heritage List twice. Once as the heritage of China, the capital cities and tombs of Goguryeo, and once as the heritage of North Korea, the Goguryeo tomb complex. Same kingdom, same civilization, same week. Two different countries, each holding a piece of it, and each calling it their own. The kingdom is called Goguryeo. It has been dead for 1,300 years, and two nations are still fighting over who gets to be its heir. First, the kingdom itself, the part nobody disputes. Goguryeo was founded in 37 BC and fell in 668 AD, 705 years, longer than most empires in human history. At its height, it ruled the northern half of the Korean peninsula and vast stretches of Manchuria, what is today northeast China. Its first capitals sit in present-day China, near the city of Jian. In 427, it moved its capital south to Pyongyang, in present-day North Korea. It left behind painted tombs, mountain fortresses, and a stone monument 7 meters tall, the Gwangaito Stele, carved in 414 to honor its greatest king. And here is the geographic fact that created everything that follows. Goguryeo's territory lies across today's border. Its bones are buried in two countries, neither of which existed when it was alive. The dispute is younger than most people think. Follow the timeline. For centuries, Chinese and Korean historians alike treated Goguryeo as part of Korean history. Chinese imperial records called it one of the three kingdoms of Korea. 2002, the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences launches a 5-year research program, the Northeast Borderland History Project, in Korean, Dongbuk Gongjeong. Its studies advance a new framing. Goguryeo was not a Korean kingdom, but an ancient regional regime of China, a local government of ethnic minorities inside Chinese history. 2004, Korean media discover that China's foreign ministry website has quietly deleted Goguryeo from its summary of Korean history. South Korea erupts. Politicians of every party protest. It becomes a full diplomatic crisis. August 2004, the two governments reach a verbal understanding, not a treaty, not a signed document. Spoken words, China will not press its claim in school textbooks. Academic questions will be kept separate from politics. That same summer, the double UNESCO listing in Suzhou. 2004, Korea establishes the Goguryeo Research Foundation. In 2006, it becomes the Northeast Asian History Foundation, a permanent government-funded institution whose job includes watching China's next move. 2007, the project officially ends, but Korean suspicion does not. It moves to new fronts, the history of Balhae, the marketing of Mount Baekdu, which China calls Changbishan. The project lasted 5 years. The distrust is on year 20. To understand Korea's reaction, start with a name, Korea. The English word itself comes from Goguryeo, the dynasty founded in 918, which chose its name to declare itself the successor of Goguryeo. Goguryeo de Goguryeo to Korea. For Koreans, this is not a metaphor, it is a family line, written into the very word the world uses for their country. In Korean classrooms, Goguryeo is the strongest chapter of the national story, the kingdom that defeated invasions from Chinese dynasties, the widest territory Koreans ever held, the great King Gwangaito, whose name means broad expander of territory. Korean television dramas return to Goguryeo again and again. Its warriors are national icons. Its maps hang in classrooms, the one era when the nation was vast. So when Chinese state-funded research calls Goguryeo a Chinese regional regime, Koreans do not hear an academic hypothesis. They hear, the first page of your family register belongs to us. There is a deeper layer to Korean anger, and it comes from the 20th century, not the 7th. Korea has already lived through having its history rewritten by an outside power. Under Japanese colonial rule, imperial historians reframed Korea's past as stagnant, dependent, incapable of standing alone. A story built to justify annexation. It took Korean historians generations to dismantle that framework after liberation. So, in 2004, when a state-backed research project across the border began reclassifying Korean history, it did not feel like a new event. It felt like a sequel. This is the thread that connects everything we have covered in this series. For Koreans, history is not an academic field. It is a thing that was once stolen and recovered at great cost. Watch the border, watch the textbooks, never let it happen again. That is the reflex. And it was learned the hard way. Now, here is the strangest fact in this entire dispute. Cross the border into a Chinese classroom and ask a student about Goguryeo. Most will give you a blank look. Chinese history textbooks barely mention the kingdom at all. There is no proud chapter, no televised drama, no national myth built on Goguryeo, the battle that consumes Korean headlines, that toppled summits and built government foundations, is, for the average Chinese citizen, not even a topic. The Northeast Project was a research program run by scholars and officials. It was never turned into mass education. In fact, after the 2004 understanding, Chinese textbooks stayed quiet, technically keeping the promise. We saw this pattern in episode 1. One country burning, the other barely aware. Korea is furious at China. Most of China has never heard the argument, and that asymmetry is not an accident. It is a clue to what the project was actually for. So, if not for school books and national pride, why did China fund the project at all? Two reasons. One is a theory of history. The other is a map of the future. First, the theory. Modern China defines itself as a unified, multi-ethnic state. 56 ethnic groups, one nation. Under this doctrine, the history of everything inside China's current borders is Chinese history, not just the dynasties of the majority Han, but every kingdom, every people, every frontier. This is not a rule invented for Goguryeo. It is the same framework China applies to the history of Tibet, of Xinjiang, of Mongolia. Inside that logic, claiming Goguryeo is not theft. It is consistency. Second, the map. China's northeast is home to nearly 2 million ethnic Koreans, Chinese citizens living along the border with North Korea. Now imagine the peninsula reunifies someday, a single Korea directly bordering a region full of Korean speakers, a region that a unified Korea's textbooks call the ancient heartland of the nation. For Beijing, history is not about the past. It is insurance, filed in advance against a future border question. Korea sees a theft of ancestors. China sees the routine administration of frontier history. Neither is lying about what they see. They are reading the same tombs through two different definitions of what history is. Across this series, we have collected questions. Episode 1 asked, "Where does your history begin?" Episode 3 asked, "Who counts your dead?" Goguryeo asks the deepest one yet. What is history made of? Land or people? China's answer is land. History belongs to the territory where it happened. Whoever governs the ground inherits everything buried in it. Korea's answer is blood. History belongs to the people descended from it. Wherever they live, whatever borders moved, the line of inheritance runs through them. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Both definitions are inventions. The people of Goguryeo were neither citizens of the People's Republic of China nor of the Republic of Korea. Those countries did not exist. The dead were never asked. Every nation on earth chooses one of these definitions, usually whichever one makes its own story larger. The Chinese student who learns frontier history is not a thief. The Korean student who learns family history is not a fanatic. They were each handed a different answer to a question neither of them ever got to ask. What makes the past yours? The tombs of Goguryeo are still there, painted dancers and hunters on stone walls. On both sides of a border, their builders never drew. They have outlasted the kingdom, the dynasties that followed it, and every empire that claimed them since. They will outlast this argument too. If this episode changed how you think about the word ours, then it did what it was meant to do. Next time on Unlearn, a quiet shrine in the middle of Tokyo, where Japan honors 2.5 million of its war dead. Among them, 14 men convicted as Class A war criminals. When a prime minister bows there, Korea and China see one thing, Japan sees another. Yasukuni, remembrance or glorification? See you then.